All right. Welcome to this, I would say, test for my new setup that I'm trying to develop here. It's going to be a bumpy ride. I haven't been here for a while, and I'm sorry about that. That's something that I should definitely mention. And due to all the things that happened right after I arrived back home, but I was not just sitting at home, not thinking about the next move and what's going to be next. And one thing that I actually, one thing that I was thinking about is how can I move stream outside, because I have plans. I have my plans, and some of these plans drives me away from my beloved atelier. That means that I have to go outside, and I want you to go on these trips with me, because it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of painting, and one upcoming trip right now is going to be to China, and I have been invited there by university to just go and hang out and paint alongside with other students, exchange students, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be like a international group. There's going to be a bunch of us there painting plein airs, perhaps doing some portraits and so on and so forth. And I, since I was so inside the studio, it has been a while for me to paint outside. So this is my little test. All this stream is going to be happening through a very simple setup, which is just my phone propped on the very, very small tripod. And I'm going to attempt to stream everything through the phone, so I don't need to carry a heavy equipment, because that will be arduous task. Let's put it that way. So let's see if this is possible. Actually, I tried different methods, and I had to, set up different apps, and this one is one that I'm going to use. And let's see if a connection is stable. Plus, what I'm doing is also I'm not using my regular internet connection, so I'm actually tethering my mobile internet to this cell phone to see if the connection is going to be stable. So let's see what's going to happen. I hope that this might work. I see that we are on 30 FPS, so I think we're good. The quality might be a little, shaky, but it's that's I can't do anything with that. So anyway, I don't want to talk a lot about the setup unnecessarily, because that's not what you are here for. So let me see. As you can see, I have just a very simple palette, or actually a very simple palette. I have a very simple setup. This is something that's called Podolsky easel. I generally use 4 types of easels when I'm painting outside, depending on the situation. There is that traditional classic French easel. Then you have only the kind of a tripod that you can put your canvas on, which is really, really lightweight and really portable. So if you're traveling somewhere further and you know you're going to be on foot and you're going to cover distances, you might want to actually try that one. So that's one thing that I would recommend you for that kind of a trip. Then you have a French easel, which is a little heavier, and I would prefer, I would actually recommend you to use it on very short distances, because you're carrying a really big, heavy wooden box with you everywhere. And this Podolsky setup that I have right here, which I upgraded to accommodate my needs, and I'll show you what I did with it. It's somewhere in between. And the reason is because when you think about it, I have, this is my thing, I just add a little bit more, a little bit of a magnet. So as you can see here, maybe I can rotate it a little bit. Just give me a second so you have a better, well, this is going to be annoying. But anyway, so this is how it looks inside. So I have a bunch of paints there, and a little space for brushes. But the ideal situation is that, you know, you drop your palette, you don't have the time to clean it up, so you're just going to leave everything as is, and then just simply close it up, and that's it. And then you're just going to, and you're leaving. Oh, of course, you have to put the legs down as well, and then you're leaving. It has a little strap on the side, so you can just carry it on your shoulder. So this is very, very simple, but very effective easel, and actually in many cases serves served me well on the trips. I'm trying to use all of my equipment as you, for those of you who know me, I like to use equipment to my advantage. So I want my materials and everything works for me, not against me. So, so that's that. And then the only thing that I add was I actually put a little metal, how would you call these? A little metal, kind of a strips of metal rather. And I add these very funky, clunky looking. I know that you can make it really nice and cool and awesome, but these are magnets that you can use in your cabinets in your kitchen. So I just attached it there. So right now my palette can actually sit right here on those magnets, and it's just there and doesn't move. That's all I did. It's just something that this is one of my how would you call it, pet peeves? I don't know. I like to invent stuff for myself, and I also have a set of these magnets. They're pretty strong, actually, stronger than you need. I have also ones down right here, and the reason is because most of the time my palette is down, but because of recording and streaming simultaneously, I would have a really, really hard time to actually make a nice scene and put everything under one camera. And I want you to see what's happening on the canvas and also on the palette, because the stuff that's happening on the palette is equally important and what is on canvas. So yeah, that's that. And I'm gonna go and use really the same palette that I use all the time. So that's a variation of a limited palette. I know that that's not really the best way to go outside with the limited palette, especially because, you know, maybe you're looking for something a little bit more interesting, a little bit more, what would be the right word? Something a little bit more vibrant. But that's not the problem that much for me, because I'm looking for some, when I'm outside in the plein air, there's always an idea that I have in my head that I want to do. And it does not necessarily need to be a nice plein air session. It's just these experiments that I always do when I'm outside. So I'm gonna go with my titanium white. Oops, there is a lot of medium inside. This is a fresh tube, because I actually used all of my pigments and paints, almost all of them. Let me just clean it up a little bit. And then, as you know, yellow ochre right there. I'm gonna add a little bit more in my outside palette, but I'm using it also inside, a little bit more of just a touch of cadmium lemon, because I like that slightly greenish. Hue of that, and then, you know, that's just that's very nice when I'm mixing it with blues and blacks. A little bit of Indian yellow as well. These are my yellows and oranges, of course. It's going to be a sienna. These are very oily pigments. Sienna and a little bit of burnt sienna as well. Let's see, and then let's do my cad red. Cad red light. English red, and then let's do a little bit of black and blue. And I might use two blues. I might use cobalt blue and I might use ultramarine. And the reason why I'm using cobalt and ultramarine both, it's because ultramarine is very very warm. I might actually use some greens. And you can see it right now on the camera, I hope. And also, it's not only warm; it's darker value. So that's that. And what else I'm missing? And ideally, I should probably add some greens. And if I have to add green for my outdoor painting, it will be probably cobalt. Cobalt green. Maybe let's try Viridian. Let's see what's going to happen. And you can see that again, it's a lighter green and darker green. But this is not my usual palette. I don't think I would use this palette anywhere else except outside. I might need a little bit more white. But anyway, this is going to be a really short and quick video because I don't, like I said, this is a fake IRL stream. It's more about me setting it up and seeing whether or not it will work. And then I have a bunch of brushes. It doesn't really matter which one. I tend to bring the old brushes outside because if I need to get rid of something or I lose some of them, I'm not going to be sad if I don't have, you know, I'm not going to be as sad if I would lose my favorite brushes that I like to use in studio. And that's actually the mindset that I have with most of the pigments. So I'm bringing tubes that are, you know, almost squeezed completely. Especially with the format this small, I know that I'm not going to use that much, and I don't want to carry unnecessary weight, which is the important part, because the weight kind of it's adding to. You might think that it's not that much, but when you think about it, if every one of these tubes is as full as this one, This is really, really, really heavy. You know, think about that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, almost 12, 15 colors, because I have some extra there. So I have 15 tubes, they're full. It's starting to get, you know, into kilograms, and you will feel it if you are out on the field, and especially it's a warm weather, and you've been walking for a while trying to find a nice composition. So luckily I'm inside right now, so I'm chilling. It's not that big of a deal, but it might be tiring pretty quickly. And I'm just going to work something that I don't like, but you know, for sake of this demonstration for myself, I'm just going to use a reference photo. That's it, for a quick, you know, maybe like a half an hour sketch, landscape sketch. So that's that. I'm not going to invent anything a particular, and it might not even it might not even look good. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm really trying to see how long my phone is going to last before it just dies on me, before I have to put external battery to it. But I'm thinking that maybe tomorrow I could actually go outside, depending on the weather, and try it outside in actual conditions. So, and the last thing that I'm missing is a jar that I use for cleaning my brushes. That's another thing. When I'm outside, I'm trying to be limited with my equipment, as I mentioned. Not because but the only reason is I'm trying to save weight as much as possible. That's the name of the game for plein air. And also it helps me to come up with a little more plein air stress test. Yes, it's a perfect that's how I should call this. That's how I should have called this stream. Oh, hey Ace, good to see you. This is really stress test. Yeah. Let's see if it's going to work. So let me just quickly lay down some ideas. Let's do some real quick. Maybe I'm just going to mix some of my browns or reds, if you wish, a little desaturated red, just so I can lay down a little bit of a something that I would call composition, maybe. And this canvas, if you remember, I prepared, I was actually laying down a bunch of other colors that were leftovers. Actually, I mixed all the colors that was leftovers on my palette one time, and then I just put it on top of it to make a ground. So it's not particularly you know, great. So let me just do maybe, like, let's find out. This could be maybe a little lower, so I'm further away from a half. And maybe let's do like a tree or set of trees, even somewhere around here. There might be a barks or trunks right here, something like this. And like I said, this is not going to be a demonstration how to paint the plein air. This is really a stress test. I love that stress test. Or this might be even the crash test. Actually, you know, I don't know how long my cell phone is capable of streaming without that additional battery. Maybe you can help me out. What do you think about the quality of a picture? I don't know, like, I'm just trying to make sure that maybe let's do this. And another thing is, I really like to invent a lot when I'm outside. Even though nature is beautiful, no doubt about it, it's beautiful because you're outside, you're out there, but then trying to actually copy it one to one, it can get boring pretty quickly because I'm looking at that as a stale image, or image that doesn't move. So and nature is always shifting and moving and changing. I'm just gonna grab a larger brush. I don't know why I'm using such a small brush. Oops, too much of a medium. Never mind. Yeah, that's better. And there's a thing that you might be familiar with, that when you're outside you should paint your shadows cool. You might, sometimes I do, but since this is just a quick demonstration and I'm looking more for a shapes right now rather than anything else. And I think that Richard Schmidt actually mentioned this in his book, that he starts with these darks and kind of trying to lock them in, so they are. Looks good. I just started some planner using gouache, a bit easier to transport. Yeah, that's something that I was really thinking about grabbing a acrylics and work with acrylics because it's easier to clean, it's easier to manage, and if you spill something like Gamsol or mineral spirits or any kind of a solvent, whenever in your backpack and you're traveling, I like to use a public transportation or train, because there's a lot of things that you can see. Maybe you can just I have way more time to observe things around me than when I'm driving, so I prefer that. It's really I don't know, it's really bad, trust me, it's really bad to spill a Gamsol in the train, trust me. Trust me on that. I'm finding mixing greens is difficult. That's probably the most difficult part, because I have the same problem with mixing greens all the time. So I'm right there with you, and it's because I think that we're so familiar with greens and they're so complex. I'm trying not to paint with greens. I put them there not because I need green, but more about the values and keeping a saturation. So if I have this green, I'm thinking about that it's darker, so we can create a darker, richer tone in dark areas. The simplest way about greens is just try to mix them. That's probably what everyone would tell you who knows something about painting. And when I say mix them, I mean just the classical way of mixing greens. That's through either blue or black, and that's why I have so many yellows, because that's the important part for me. I have a lighter cooler, I have a lighter warmer, then I have some ones that are the ones that is really saturated, and then I have something that is a little bit more orangey, which is sienna and burnt sienna, and then reds. So it's kind of a way for me to go. And again, even though I like nature a lot, I'm not trying to copy it exactly as I see. I'm trying to think about what would be the interesting part about that. And I'm trying to not overmix anything. So I'm just going to go straight with this just to see how it works. That might be a little too on the nose, so I'm going to start adding a little bit more of this and maybe a little bit of here, just to get me started somewhere here. And then maybe a little bit. And you see, like, this turns green immediately, and especially with this warm background right here. So I'm just gonna go and spread it there. And I'm not being careful at all right now, right here, because this is really just a sketch. And you should think about it that way. This is really, really a small painting. to get into any details. So you can really have fun with this a lot. And you know what they say, as long as you have a value correct, even though I don't want to, well, it's not that I disagree with it completely, but I would be careful with these statements, and maybe something a little bit more lighter here. There is a little lighter area right here, and I'm working with reference, so I'm not just coming up with this from out of my head, but I'm adjusting that a reference, because if there is something that I hate, it's to copy from the photographs. It's really bad for me. I lose interest, and I'm going to add a little bit more warmth into that green. So maybe even here, and then it could go actually a little darker. Oops, might be a little too much. Yeah, a little darker here. It's kind of a maybe shadow. Let's go a little lighter. And this is very quick, and I'm not really paying attention to anything, just I'm looking for something that I like. I don't really care about the exactness right now. I just want to throw the pigments on that canvas, and let's see if something is going to work. Let me just also add this would be a good time to add a little bit more of a background. So let me see if I hit, well, see, this is immediately jump. So there might be some mountains in the background. Let's put some here. Maybe it's peeking through this right here. So I'll create a little bit of a background. And then right now it looks like it's kind of a sunset scene, right? So let me show you how quickly you can switch it to a slightly lighter day scene, perhaps. And I'm being careful with not mix. I'm trying to avoid to get greens into my sky. If there's something that I don't like, it's greens in the sky. But that's my preference. And when I'm doing this, I'm also trying to shape a composition a little bit. Maybe a little here. And starting to look like a little bit of a forest to me. All right. Maybe a little darker up here. Yeah. And since this is just a sketch and should be impressionistic, I'm not really paying attention that much to details. It's just having fun. It's just having fun. Maybe we can add a little bit more green there. Let's see what's going to happen with that. If I add green in here. It's what's good about this is that what I'm looking at right now, and the way how it harmonizes, it's through that underpainting. So as soon as you start putting more and more pigments on top of it, you're going to lose that. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of great plein air painters that you want to learn from, basics and how to start. I'm not really a good example of a plein air painter because I like to invent a lot and have fun with it. Okay, let's see if I put a little lighter value here. And maybe a little warmer. And then shape it. It looks a little bit more like trees. Yeah, perhaps even. And I can tell that this is starting to look really too dark. So I'm just going to go there again and see how I can fix it. And when I say fix it, I mean adjust the value, right? So it's starting, so because right now grass to me maybe looks too dull. Maybe. So that's where these pigments are going to come handy, the brighter ones, like cadmium yellow and also Indian yellow and white, but I have to squeeze more white. It looks from a distance, and let me check in the. Yeah, I think we're good. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. So a little lighter value. And what this is going to represent the place where, or represent. Right now I want to start painting with light. So let's say the light is hitting right here somewhere. So all right, there's going to be like a little maybe a pathway here. Of light. Okay, a little bit of a horizon line right there. That might be something in the background, and perhaps I could actually create like that, kind of a haze. Now, sometimes you can see it in the distance, like as you go closer to it, and it's like a really beautiful phenomenon for me, like slightly warmer. There's like a warmer neutral part right here, and then it goes lighter, cooler around there, and as it goes up, it's just kind of, it's like that dome. It's kind of a nice gradation there. I've seen people sometimes put there even yellow when you were really, let's try that. But you have to be careful. I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow, but I'm gonna be careful because adding yellow, it's not mean that I want to make it yellow. I want to make it a little bit more, because when you look at white by itself, and it's just really tiny bit, because white looks almost like it does not, it's not saturated, and I'm saturating it a little bit, so it's a little brighter, and it's going to create kind of a nice, yeah, kind of a brighter area there. And I'm keeping it mostly same value. So instead of shifting values, I'm shifting temperatures. Just get a paper towel and clean my brush. Okay, I think we'll have to start. I think it's time for me to add. So I think I can squeeze maybe 45 minutes, an hour into a one stream from my cell phone directly without charging it. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, a little bit like this. Yep. This is like a two, it almost feels the, let's make a little adjustments there, so it shifts and moves. Looks a little naive right now, but that's okay, it's fine. It's just maybe I could add a little bit more of a definition here. Brush strokes. Okay, and a little bit of, let me see. Okay, nice. get a little bit more of a tree feel to it. Maybe a little bit more of this. Kind of a poking through. Maybe up here a little bit. Cool. What's the other difficulty outside is when it's overcast. I'm pretty lost when I'm used to painting light and shadow. I actually, truth to be told, that's my favorite time to paint, because, like I mentioned, I like to invent a lot of these things. So for me, when it's overcast, I'm truly looking only for shapes, and I'm trying to create volume, and then on top of the volume I can actually then play with shadows the way that I want to. I know this goes against everything that you might have heard about a plein air painting, but that's that's just me having fun when I'm outside, because I'm going to be very honest, because I very rarely have fun outside painting. And that overcast kind of a thing is about, came from, it's not something that I invented, it's Delacroix and his idea about thinking that everything has its own volume, and then I can manipulate light and shadow, not necessarily exactly as nature wants to, but as it's interesting for a viewer, as I want to lead the eye of a viewer through the painting. It's kind of an abstract concept, but it's something that helps me to enjoy a plein air. Because I really, really enjoy composition, and you heard me talk about composition forever, and that's what that's when painting is enjoyable for me. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it. It's more about your preference. See, right now I'm just trying to. I'm getting a little too specific, instead of just keeping it loose. Maybe bring a little bit more of that light right here, because it feels too dark to me, the painting. It looks too dark. So I'm going to slowly lighten it up. And since I already have a lot of pigment on the canvas, I don't really need to, I know that this needs to be lighter. I don't need to mix lighter pigment and put it there. I go straight with the white and I'm mixing it on the canvas. So right now I'm using canvas as my palette. And this brand of white that I purchased, it's really weak. I'm using a lot of white. And when I say weak, it means that I mean that it does not have a really strong tinting strength. So I go a little bit here and a little bit of that yellow. on this other side here. That might be a little too much, I think. Soften it here a little bit so it doesn't scream. This could maybe go lower. So these two could be separated a little bit. See, and this is when I'm just really thinking only about the composition, not necessarily what I see. I abandoned that. That original, maybe a little lighter here to create a little bit of interest. I abandoned completely that original reference. And let's create a little bit more like a light around here, because this is kind of an overcast thing right now. Or overcast, this is like a counter, what's the name of it? I'm blanking the word right now. I'm just gonna come up with that. Hopefully it's gonna come into my brain. When sun is blocked by the object that you're painting, I don't know. So let's bring right now a little bit of light on one side so we can create volume, right? So maybe I can just bring a little bit light here. And again, I'm thinking about the composition and how, and what will help a composition. So maybe here a little bit. Maybe if I make it a little thinner, I can go on top of existing. There is a little bit of these. Maybe there are some branches behind. Oops. This also happens when I'm not paying attention what kind of what pigments I have on the canvas. What kind of pigments I have on my brush. Let's go a little bit more here with the darker pigment. A little thinner. And since this is alla prima, and you know that I'm not really alla prima connoisseur, truth to be told, I love that. Layered. Painting. Let's go inside here, a little bit of suggestion of what's happening here. Maybe I could make this And then a little shift here. So I have a darker and lighter, so let's make maybe this darker. Stuff that it's showing through. Right. Seems a little too abrupt, maybe. Let's test a little bit of this cooler green right here. Maybe just so it has a little bit of variation. And then maybe a little bit of lighter areas here. Just to make it pop a little bit more, since I'm working strictly with the graphic shape and not with volumes that much. Okay, and right now this is the most difficult part for me, to bring some of the details, not all of the details, but a little bit of a detail, so it looks like those are trees. Let's give him a trunk. Soften these. I'm trying to make like a softer transition there in the background and then sharper in the foreground, so it's kind of stands out from thicker here, right? And there could be like two of them right here next to each other. 1 and 2 connecting or overlapping rather. So there's a little bit of interest there. It might be a little too symmetrical, which kind of bothers me. So let's maybe add connection here. thinking maybe we could add a little bit of softer edge right here, so it's kind of drops behind. I almost feel that I would like to put the, let me try that to make it a little lower, like so. Make it like a little smaller. A little bit more, some resemblance of a detail, but it's just all abstract, back and forth. And maybe something here, compositionally. The only problem that I have with this right now, because I can't really tell the size of the trees, right? Are these big trees, small trees? I don't have any point of reference, right? So there's something that I'm missing right now. But that's okay. Maybe I could put a little bit more of a... This is just a really a stress test as we discuss. Maybe a little bit more here. Just showing through, maybe here, softening these transitions to create a feeling of atmospheric perspective. This is the problem with the camera, it's just really wobbly. But anyway, I think that I will have to end because the battery is going to die and I wanted to see. So I can actually make a 1 hour quick stream on location if I add my external battery to it. I could make it 2, maybe 3 hours, depending on the... depending on the situation. Which is not bad. All right. Yeah, this was a cool. Thank you for stream. Glad you're back at the studio. Yeah, finally back in the studio. I was really looking forward to be here. that's something that I miss a lot, not being in the studio. But since it's summer, and I had that diploma painting and traveling, it was kind of a little bit more challenging for me to be here. But I'm back for a while. But then I want to travel, but I want to also share all that traveling experience and plein air. And also, this is a creative discourse, and I missed to be here, truly. So yeah, but this is I think this is going to work. I think I can make this work on the go. But trust me, I don't want to bring all my equipment to China with me, because that will be just I don't know. I will have to have special luggage privileges. Maybe like 3 people or 4 would have to leave their luggages outside, because that's easel, paint, camera equipment, and also clothes, and then it's getting too difficult. So yeah, thank you for joining me. I'm going to leave it here, and maybe I will get back to it maybe even tomorrow for another stress test after it sets and dried a little bit. It was a fun exercise. Thank you for joining me for this quick demo or quick test. I was not even I was thinking that I'm going to be here alone, but it's kind of cool. If there is something that you feel like it's not right there, let me know on Discord. But I think that this might actually work pretty well. So yeah, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being part of this experience, and hopefully I'll see you outside on location pretty soon. Maybe even tomorrow, depends on the weather. I would really, really like to test it outside. So thanks, take care, stay cool, bye.